Changes in behaviour differ, but in many ways are the same. I mentioned earlier the pace of change in emerging markets is exponentially faster. This desire to get to the new economies, bearing in mind that the emerging markets of the world are fast becoming digital economies, then the changes are driven by retailers and suppliers urgently needing to become digital. I see many examples of companies in the emerging markets not even seeking to adapt their current business processes, but almost rip them up and start again with a completely new process map. This is something I think is really lacking in some of the emerging markets in the thinking. We seem to have forgotten the good old days of business process re-engineering are actually still relevant, but in some cases it's not about re-engineering the process, it's about reinventing. And I think what you see is a number of the suppliers and retailers in the emerging markets throwing everything away and saying, what does the future look like? Let me build that. Whereas here, I think in the mature markets, you're more likely to see tinkering. Sometimes radical tinkering, but it's difficult at times to see how some of our more mature companies are embracing the multi-channel world that we're living in. How do they embrace every channel? How do they see a common view of the customer? How do they drive that? And I think it really worries me that the customer domain is changing so rapidly that many companies just don't see this. They don't see it from the top. In our CEO study in 2010, 86% of CEOs said that getting to their customer was their top priority. Yet very few have a chief customer officer responsible on the board. Who owns the customer relationship? How are they managing that? What we're beginning to see in emerging markets is much more focus on the customer's needs, and designing the business around the customer. I think we have to be careful with advice we give to major organisations. Clearly, you do not want to throw away the baby with the bathwater. You can't utterly disrupt your business by throwing in new channels day in, day out. I think what we do see is there are different ways of migrating to multi-channel experience with customers. There are those that tinker, there are those that rapidly integrate channels and bring more channels in. I think what we see is probably the travel and retail industry in some ways moves faster than others. We know that the airlines, the hotels have a completely open, transparent market and seek to work through channels much more effectively. The retailers that are ahead of the game clearly would have a shop front on the internet. They'll enable technology such that you can shop through mobile apps. Then you have those that are creative in that they'll create a mini business within a business. So they'll put a team of very creative people together to plot the model for the future, for the next 5 years and the next 10 years. And I'd encourage any company to do that. I just don't think enough companies do that. I think the other thing that we're seeing that's bringing about a fundamental change, and again, it's something that I think is missing in some areas, is the use of customer analytics. One of the areas that it's clear many companies get scared of is the vast amount of data they have around the customer and the lack of integration around a single view of the customer. It is becoming much easier to integrate that data and get a single view. I think that actually, and the analytics behind customer data can bring profound change and profound insights into customer behaviour. I think it's a great problem to many companies to realise that they have many of the keys to success already in their hands, they just don't look. Why is it they don't look? Whether it's they don't have the right skills, the right focus, the right energy, or the right understanding. It can't be that they don't have the right technology, because we know that analytics technology exists. And what we see very often again is, with companies, and we would recommend this, is start small. Look at where the biggest pain points are. They're potentially the biggest opportunities to use customer data, seek customer feedback, analyse it, use the insights, then implement change.